The Renaissance period is one of the most influential times on the modern world today. Its four major divisions have had a huge impact in many ways. The Italian Renaissance, the Northern Renaissance, the Protestant Reformation, and the Scientific Revolution resulted in new ways of thinking, living, and learning. Welcome to our virtual museum. Today you will see and learn about some of the most important artifacts from this time period. The Italian Renaissance was where it all began. After the Black Death, ideas, learning, art, and thinking began again in Italy. Being the center of ancient Rome, it was left with a large number of scholars and talented people that they had begun to question about their world, and this sparked the humanist movement. This new wave of intellectual thinking brought back ancient techniques, and the value of individualism soared. The importance of being realistic in all forms of art came back from the Greek and Roman ages. School of Athens was painted by Raphael, representing the four branches of human knowledge: philosophy, theology, poetry, and jurisprudence. This shows again the importance of knowledge and learning in the Italian Renaissance. It shows philosophers from the classical age, Plato and Aristotle, and other famous thinkers throughout history. Plato's side is more theoretical, with math and science, and Aristotle's is more observable, with many philosophers. Again, we see the idea of using math and reasoning to place figures in groups. Raphael also painted himself into his own painting, which shows us the new want to be remembered and be known for your own work. This is the Bronze David by Donatello. It is the first freestanding nude sculpture since the classical ages, which shows the techniques of those times coming back. This brings back ancient Greeks and Romans' respect and fascination with the body. For a while, it was located in the Medici Garden, but today it is in the Bargello in Florence. In the Renaissance period, the people of Florence felt represented by David, as they both felt they were the underdogs. It eventually became a symbol of the city. This statue embodies many important ideals of the Italian Renaissance. The next artifact is Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. Leonardo himself represented the values of the Renaissance. Being skilled as an artist, sculptor, architect, scientist, engineer, and inventor, he is truly a Renaissance man and showed the importance of individualism and education during that period. The painting depicts the Last Supper and the 12 apostles' reactions when Jesus tells them one of them will betray him. It uses techniques common in this age that involve math and science. Leonardo uses the body to reveal the soul and one's internal nature. The disciples are arranged in 4 groups of 3. Another technique used in the Last Supper is perspective, which has all lines going to Jesus. This technique and many others are very commonly used to gain a realistic look in the Italian Renaissance. The Northern Renaissance also stressed education and learning from the classical period, but also emphasized the need for religious reform. The humanist movement also came here, resulting in new ideas and the value of being skilled in many areas. The printing press had a vital role in the spread of ideas. The new ideas were also shown in the art. Religious themes, landscapes, portraits, and peasant life were common, along with using wood as a material. This portrait by Jan van Eyck is a great example of the growing importance of individualism. In this painting, we see a double portrait of a couple where we can tell a sacred event is taking place because the shoes aren't on. The wealth of the couple is also apparent. The color and extreme detail shown is what the Renaissance is known for. Another technique typical of the Northern Renaissance is the use of thin layers of oil paint to achieve deep color and light. This painting holds many techniques and traits exclusive to the Northern Renaissance. Bruegel painted about the lives of everyday people, not kings or biblical figures, which was common during this time. The peasant wedding shows a large group of people in a barn with the wedding party seated at a long table. It shows feasting and the peasants enjoying each other's company. The sense of shared humanity found in many paintings of the middle class or peasant life is what makes this a common theme in the time of the Northern Renaissance. It gives us a glimpse into the world of the 16th century. Tilman Riemenschneider was a German sculptor who carved the altar of the Holy Blood between 1499 and 1505. The left section of the carving shows Christ entering Jerusalem, and the right is Christ praying in the garden. The scene in the center is the Last Supper. The technique of hand carving and the use of religious themes was common during this time. In the Protestant Reformation, people wanted to reform the Catholic Church. Their way of doing so was by breaking away from the church and creating their own denominations of Christianity. The people were not happy with things such as the money spent on the Pope and indulgences within the church. Reasons of wanting to reform consisted of simpler ways to express their religion and also to stress Bible study. In 1517, Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses on the power and efficacy of indulgences. These are widely regarded as the initial start of the Protestant Reformation. The theses protest against the things he found wrong with the church, especially the sale of indulgences. As a whole, these were how he felt and his views on indulgences as a whole. Martin Luther nailed them to the door of All Saints Church in Wittenberg. This was a huge act of defiance against the Catholic Church and got a great amount of attention. The Inquisition were church courts set up to get rid of anything for the reform. Church courts during this time would round up things such as books, documents, people, and anything going against the Catholic Church. Once they had things rounded up, they got rid of anything. They burnt books, executed people, and destroyed whatever they could. During the Inquisition, execution and torture were huge. The Spanish Inquisition was the most influential of all inquisitions because of the huge number of Catholics involved. In 1545, the heads of the Catholic Church got together in the Council of Trent to make major reforms. The reforms that were made lasted for almost 20 years. The main reforms were the ideas that salvation through faith and good works were the way to get to heaven. They believed and stated very heavily that the Bible is not the only source of religious ideas. One could go to many other places to get their beliefs or questions answered. Their final reform was the creation of clergy schools to make the clergy better people even outside the church walls. The scientific revolution began in the mid-1500s and changed our world forever. This revolution was impacted in several ways by the Renaissance and the Protestant Reformation. The ideas of the classics were brought back by the Renaissance, and the focus from science shifted to the Reformation. The Revolution brought forth many new ways to think about the physical universe. It also left people seeking to further human progress.
The new scientific method started a new theme throughout science. It began the use of mathematical calculations to convert observations and experiments into scientific laws. Francis Bacon had a role in this new method by stressing experimentation. He was the first person to pursue making life better for people. Nicholas Copernicus was a Polish scholar from the 1540s. Copernicus was the author of the book Revolution of the Heavenly Spheres. He also discovered that our universe is heliocentric, this meaning that our universe revolved around the sun, not the earth. Copernicus's ideas were very upsetting to the Catholic Church. They believed that his idea of a heliocentric universe did not leave a home for God like the geocentric universe. In the end, Copernicus's theory was correct, and he changed the way people thought forever. Our last exhibit shows how medicine transformed. The idea of medicine changed drastically during the scientific revolution. It began to blossom and flourish into something that we would continue to use forever. During the revolution, there was a lot more study of the human body. This caused the surgical techniques to change and more tools to be invented. One of the tools invented during this time was the microscope. Thank you for joining us on our virtual tour. We hope you gain knowledge about the Renaissance, Reformation, and the scientific revolution.